This is Jonathan. You're listening to The Plunge, where we have a quick immersion in the facets of a movie that make it great. I had previously mentioned that the best science fiction films often give us a lens in which to view ourselves through. They provide us a form of introspection into what it means to be human. For this purpose, we'll be looking at James Gray's Ad Astra. The name of the movie Ad Astra comes from the Latin phrase per aspera ad astra. In English, through hardships to the stars. The phrase is very literal to the journey of the protagonist, Roy McBride, as he travels the stars in search of answers regarding his father. Like the best science fiction films, Ad Astra is strongly focused on examining what makes us human. In this case, he uses a man and his father on parallel trajectories across the solar system and where their paths diverge to remind us of what is important and where we stand in the universe. Roy McBride is introduced to us as what Space Command, the movie's version of NASA, thinks of as a perfect astronaut, much like his long-dead legendary father Clifford, who is held in the very highest regard at Spacecom. He has made a name for himself for his ability to remain calm under extreme pressure, supposedly never breaking a heart rate of 80 beats per minute. You gain insight into how Roy is feeling per his mandatory recorded psychological evaluations. In his opening evaluation, Roy states that he is focused on only the essential, to the exclusion of all else, and that he does not rely on anyone and will not be prone to mistakes. Through thoughtful camera work, we can see that this rings true in his personal life as well. When we first see Roy interact with his wife, Eve, we, the audience, expect her to come into focus. Instead, she never does, and the camera remains focused on Roy as Eve leaves Roy's apartment and their relationship. This by and large reveals the main issue with Roy. He has no connection to humanity, both humanity at large and his own humanity. The plot device that sets Roy off on his journey to the edge of the solar system is power surges that cause massive loss of life on Earth. Spacecom believes that the surges are tied to the mission that was led by Roy's father, named the Lima Project. Spacecom then breaks it to Roy that his father is likely still alive. Roy shows little to no reaction to this new information, but he does agree to help contact his father in order to attempt to stop the surges. In order to do this, he must first get to Mars. On his mission to Mars, he is beset by many setbacks, including space pirates on the moon, a stop due to a distress beacon at an abandoned research station where a berserk baboon kills the ship's captain, and a power surge as his transport lands on Mars. In each case, Roy calmly perseveres and saves the mission. It is during this mission that Roy breaks for the first time emotionally. He admits in his evaluation to feeling rage regarding stopping at the abandoned outpost. It is during the second attempt at making radio contact with his father, who is in orbit around Neptune, that Roy finally fully breaks. He makes an impassioned plea to his father, which finally gets Cliff to respond, but it also gets Roy benched from the mission. The head of the station, Helen, then reveals to Roy that his father's crew attempted to return to Earth, but his father killed them, and that her parents were among the crew that died this way, making them both essentially orphaned to his father's destiny, as Cliff later refers to it. Helen helps Roy board the ship, leaving for Neptune. In the ensuing conflict, Roy unintentionally kills the crew. Finally, upon arriving at Neptune and the Lima Project, we have the confrontation between father and son. Their paths had progressed in an almost identical parallel route to the edge of the solar system. They both endured hardships, killed the crew of their respective ships, and have isolated themselves from the rest of humanity. However, this is where the character experiences diverge. As it turns out, Cliff has found no intelligent life in the universe after 30 years of looking. Cliff admits to not caring about Roy or Roy's mother or their little ideas, knowing that his mission would orphan Roy, and not caring because he had found his destiny. Rather than living with his failure, Cliff launches himself into space, nearly taking his son with him. Roy's defining line in the movie comes when Cliff tells his son that he can't fail, and he pleads with Roy to not let him fail. Roy responds that Cliff hasn't, and now they know we are all we've got. Roy chooses the glass half full to his father's glass half empty, and he begins his attempt to try to get back to Earth. After hurtling himself through space and boarding his shuttle, fighting to keep living, the audience gets what is perhaps an unintentional homage to the pale blue dot, as Roy gazes at what appears to be Earth, far, far off in the distance. He notes that his father missed what was right in front of him because he could only see what was not there, and he prepares to head back to Earth, saying that he is looking forward to the day his solitude ends. On landing, the focus effect is used again. This time it is a human hand coming into focus to help Roy out of his ship, and Roy reaches back, symbolically and literally reconnecting with humanity. In his final psychological evaluation of the movie, Roy's report starts the same, but ends differently, saying he will rely on those he loves and share their burdens, as they share his. The movie closes out with Roy meeting Eve out for dinner. Ad Astra puts Cliff and Roy, father and son, on the exact same trajectory, but each character ends up with different answers and different perspectives, though they both initially cannot focus on or appreciate what was right in front of them. It takes true isolation and an understanding that there is no one else out there for Roy to find his connection to humanity. It is a lesson we could all learn a little better. At the beginning of this, I said that there would be a small lesson on Satanism. So, it is an honor and a privilege for me to read from the Book of Carl. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least not in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for listening to The Plunge. We'll see you next time. This is Jonathan, signing out.